Namaste all, and welcome to our continuing series of interviews with disciples and devotees. And today we are honored to have with us Pradeep. Namaste, Pradeep. Please tell us how you first heard of Sri Aurobindo and Mother.
You know, I used to manage sugar mills in my business days, in the early days. And I heard of a French lady living in Pondicherry running an ashram. That's all I knew about her. The first time I heard about her. It was later when I started traveling a lot and I was in Delhi. I met Navjot. For the first time. This was, Mother was still in her body at that time, 73, earlier part of 73.
60s?
It was 72.
72. Oh, I see.
Around that time. Mm-hmm. So I had gone to see him about some other matter, because I was in business and I was more interested in the development of our group of sugar mills, and so we wanted to diversify. So we wanted to set up a paper plant in Odisha. So where the chief minister used to be a friend of mine. And he was from the Swatantra party. And he was Maharaja R.N. Singh Deo. He was the chief minister. The chief minister being a friend of mine, I decided to invest in Odisha. But then elections came and he lost, and Mrs. Gandhi came in with a big flood of victories at that time, and Bangladesh and all that. And Nandini Satpathy became the chief minister of Odisha. She and I couldn't see eye to eye. So I just gave up. But how it happened was, I went to see Navjot, call him Bhaiji. That, do you know Nandini? He said, yes, I know. She comes here, I know her. So can you just talk to her that I would like to come and see her? To get an opening to the typical businessman's view.
Yeah.
He said, yes, she's coming in the evening to see me, and I'll tell her that you will call on her.
So he knew her well?
Knew well. Knew well. Because she used to come to the mother, Nandini Satpathy. So, because of that reason, he knew her. So when I went to see her, she knew who I was, and but somehow the paper project never came up because of the political changes. But another relationship developed with Navjot. Because I always felt in my life that there was a vacuum. I had a fair amount of money, I was a bachelor, and I had practically everything on. But I knew that there was something missing. And I also knew that it's something to do with God. My mother was a very spiritual person, involved with the Radha Swami Satsang. They follow a different path.
And your father?
My father was in Arya Samaji. Arya Samaj. He didn't believe in idols. They believed, Arya Samaj, they believed very staunchly in God and very Hindu leaning.
So you were very much involved in spiritual things because of your parents?
Yes. So the atmosphere was conducive to me. But I was the only one who turned to the mother. My sister didn't. I was the only one who turned to her. And it was in my questions to Navjot, I mentioned something which was perplexing me about my life, and what this world is all about is something I couldn't understand. And I asked him, I said, I've spoken to many people, but I'm told that you are still in KG and you're asking a question which belongs to PhD. Hence, you wait. So it didn't satisfy me, this answer. So when I asked him, he said, no, it is a PhD question, but there is a PhD answer to it. So I was a little amazed for the first time I got a positive. He said, the mother says this, like this, see. And that answered my KG brain. And said, the mother has said this. I said, I'm really bowled over, and I've got my answers. I want to be involved in some way. What can I do? But don't tell me how to meditate. That was my first question. That, I produce sugar in my mind all the time. So don't ask me to still my brain. And he said, no, I'm not asking you to do that. But will you work for the mother? So I went straight from the Karma Yoga point of view from there. Will you work for the mother? I said, yes, I will certainly. I said, but what do? I know nothing. So if I tell you something to do, will you do it? Something to do for the mothers, to work? I said, yes, happily. He said, it's on one condition, is that you do it yourself. Don't send a black clerk or a babu to a section officer in government because he is a low officer, therefore I cannot go, and send somebody from the office to do that job. Don't do that. Do it yourself. So Narad, even if I haven't seen the lowliest of an officer in the government, or any work, I have to do it myself.
Did you meet mother?
No. So it started off like this, and I started really working, flying from here to here, morning in the evening, and come back. Then, in August 73, I was booked to come to Pondicherry. At that time, it was not sure whether she would come give the balcony darshan or not. She was not well. But I had booked it. It was not easy to get seats in those days to Chennai. And business thing came up rather suddenly, and I cancelled the trip. And she came to the balcony. Last balcony darshan, I would have been there if I had gone. I missed it. And then she left her body. I never really got to see her. And that pain remained in my heart for a very, very long time. That there I had a chance that she could see me. And I didn't go because of a stupid business reason. I was very pained, and when I moved here, finally, in 1982, I still carried that pain. How foolish could I have been to do this? I stayed here in the old seaside guest house, and I was reading something about she had written, and I was reading that, and I went off to sleep. That night she appeared to me. It was very, very clear. And she looks at me, with deep eyes going into me like that, And she does this. This is something she had made me read, that this was stepping back. She had explained the stepping back, and that was I read before I went to sleep. And then she sits in front of me and says, like that. And that pain that I had went away after that night, because she literally,
It's more real than life.
Yes. And this thing of stepping back. And she had made me read it so that I could understand what she was saying, telling me. Oh, it was beautiful. And that was it. Then I had moved here, and I started working in whatever capacity. I cleaned the go-downs wherever required.
Did mother give you this work, or did
Navjat gave.
Navjat gave?
Later on, I was given some more designation. Then I was looking after the membership section. I mean, the jobs that I was doing I had never done before. I have never cleaned go-downs before.
Pradeep, how old were you then?
I was 42.
40?
42.
40, so young.
But I started working for her in 73 in Delhi. So it continued from 73 onwards. Then physically I moved in 82. So now I'm about 85.
85?
85, yes. So it's been a very beautiful journey. I've never been happier in life, and I enjoyed making money, producing tons and tons of sugar. We had 5 sugar mills, and
were you at all connected with Laljibai?
Laji was a friend. He was a colleague.
He was a colleague.
A colleague in the sense in same industry.
Yes.
So his son Ashok used to come to the meetings which I used to chair, the Indian Sugar Mills Association. I was the president. So Ashok used to come. So Ashok and I knew, then I met, of course, Laljibai. And I went to see the sugar mill here also. And I heard all the stories about how Laljibai started, and how the mother...
the sugar mill, yes.
Yes, literally commanded him that he has to do it. And cleared the way for him. Beautiful. So I give you an instance, I had already turned to her, but I had not left Delhi, and I was still in business. So the business had taken a very bad turn, a very bad dip. We had losing heavily.
In 73?
This was in 75, 76.
Okay.
Very bad. So finally, I was sleeping, and I got up and said, it's not possible for me to handle this. I can't do anything now. It's beyond me, these losses. And if the water had gone over my head, it was like that. Then a voice tells me, you can pray, can't you? And that day, and of course I started praying to the mother. I said, please bail us out. And it started changing. And within 6 months, it was fine. I mean, we were right down there, So another experience, these experiences kept coming. And when I started working here, it was like an experience every day. This construction I was doing, I was involved with the maintenance and construction. So we did a lot of construction. So we had done one part of this office. We had 11 lakhs rupees left in the bank, and that was not enough to carry on, so work stopped. Now, for 3 years, nothing happened. So I wondered, what can I do with 11 lakhs? The next phase was 2 crores. So again that voice, start construction. I thought it's clear on my mind, how can I start construction? It's not possible.
I'd like the story of Udar, when mother said you have to make all this equipment for Golconda. And he said, but mother, I have no money, and she turns and gives him 1 rupee.
Okay.
And so your story is very much...
So he's lying there in that account, 11 lakhs. Then just again the voice comes, start construction. I was sitting here, start construction. So
Did you hear mother often? Or did you see her at all?
No, I never saw her.
Never saw,
Never-
except that
I-
one experience.
Except one experience, never saw her. Of course, voice I knew, but this was not her voice. It was not I mean, there was no sound. There were instructions. Start construction. Second one then came, start construction. Again. Then I called our maintenance head, General Banerjee. He was a civil engineer from the army. He retired and then he was working with us. So I said, what if we start construction, start making the foundation, how much will it cost? So he said maybe 13, 14 lakhs, something. So I said 3-4 lakhs I'll manage. So I said, supposing we start construction and finish the thing, what will happen to the steel? And supposing we can't carry on, will the rust hit it? He said, don't worry about that. We can stop it, but cover it so that there's no damage. Because I wasn't sure whether we will be able to carry on.
Yes.
So I started on the premise that perhaps we will stop after doing the foundation. Narad, it was amazing that it never stopped. It just didn't stop. So we went from basement to ground, and we thought when the ground finishes, then we'll again put the wall and then stop. But it didn't stop. Then went to the first floor, finished the first floor, finished the second floor. And it just kept happening. Just kept happening. You know. The plans were done. And the money started rolling in without my effort. Then Vijay and I went to the second floor. And I said, we must have a big boardroom. I was used to boardrooms because of my background. So I said, it should be like that. And it should be a way that where you sit, you see the entire lot. 35 people around it. So he took a piece of chalk, I took a piece of chalk and started drawing on the ground as to how this board table is going to be placed and how it looked. So both our chalks, when they were this high, this big left, we came to some kind of a conclusion. And we called Gautam Chatterjee. Mm-hmm. So I said, Gautam, this is where we want to put our office table. Around looks like that. So he saw the chalk thing and he says, yes, let me plan it out. So he planned it. So it's the same table. Now for 40 years, it's the same table, same board, same chairs, beautifully built by this fellow. So then at that time, it was then almost half the beach office was then absolutely ready. This was functional. All the main departments were housed. Then we needed more departments started coming, and we started that construction, and then that construction started happening. And we finished, apparently we finished the entire beach office. Unless she has something up her sleeve. I don't see where we can build more. Except suddenly she gives the idea that build some more rooms in the guest houses. So legally you can't do it because you can't go beyond a point unless some technical thing it was. So I said follow that. So we were able to build 5 rooms on retreat and 7 rooms in seaside guest house. So 12 more rooms. So it's almost a 25% increase in the capacity. Again, it was her, I don't know what she's up to, but we did what she told us to do. And it all works out. And it works out well. That is the question. Once that happens, there is no hindrance. And I've never worked in business without hindrance. because there's always some problem or the other. You know, doors won't move, open, the creaking drawers. And you knew in business that it used to happen. Here, once the clearance was there was no hindrance. You just walk through, you know. But if you tried to do it yourself without contacting her or even trying to contact her, it would not work. If she gives the clearance, goes through, and it stops, the money stops coming when it's finished. When she thinks it is finished. And then nothing. Then you try what you want to, but you will not, it won't happen. So we just came to that conclusion that is, go on as she says, and don't think. And that's how all this has come up. Various buildings.
No negative thinking.
No. Never. I never thought that it may not happen. What if it happens and it does not work out? Never even thought about it. Because we felt that the green light has been there now, so go ahead. So even if money was slightly less than what should be, but we never stopped. It still came in. It's been an amazing experience. For me, working in the society is purely a spiritual experience. Whatever material work that I've done, of course then for me my bhakti opened and I read a fair amount. So all three, but I started as a karmayogi. Then when I realized, when the opening started, then came bhakti, and the great love that I felt for her. And then I started reading. I began to, get closer to Sri Aurobindo. And I read all his main works, and I found it not difficult to understand. For me, it was a smooth sailing. Life Divine, I took 1 year to finish. I read slowly. And I used to read only in the ashram on a Sunday. On the steps I used to sit and just read. Only on Sunday. And another very beautiful incident is when I came from Delhi, I left my Savitri, my copy in Delhi. I arrived here. I was going into the ashram, and that same voice, known voice, reads Savitri. So I told myself, when I go to Delhi, I'll bring it from there. 2 more steps, read Savitri now. Very specific. I went turned straight to Sabda. I said, give me a Savitri, a new copy. I took it, went straight to sit on those steps where I always sat for reading, in the 5th step from the ground. And I
Over by the Samadhi.
Yes, Samadhi.
Yes,
it was
yes.
one going up to...
Yes.
When you went for the
Bansidhar.
Bansidhar. When you see Bansidhar. Those steps. 5th step from there. And I sat there, and after that, Narad, I never stopped. It was with Savitri, then I started Synthesis of Yoga, then went to Life Divine, and then incidents that occurred, I had not read essays on the Gita. They had taken with me. There was a meeting in Calcutta for which I was going. There was a strike that took place. For 2 days I was in a guest house somewhere. 2 days. In 2 days I started reading essays on the Gita. And I found it fascinating. Absolutely finished half the book in 2 days. Which was for me, it was a complete thing, winning a marathon. Because I've never read so fast and it so well absorbed. Yeah. Because Mahabharata, I have grown with Mahabharata. I lived in the eastern UP, and the stories about the Mahabharata and the Ramayana was told to me by the servants. My driver, I sat in his lap, and he told me all about the Mahabharata. And I literally grew with that. And I just slipped into the Vishwarupa and all that. I could understand the Nirguna Brahma aspect and the Saguna Brahma aspect. I had no problem at all. So it's been a fascinating tale for me, an everyday experience.
Have you had any experience of Krishna?
No.
But you felt
Yes.
in the Gita.
Oh yeah, the Gita was very live, very alive. And when he's speaking, when he says, "I'm Purushottama," I'm not just an overmind God. I'm the supreme. When I knew what he was saying. This is not just a Krishna of the gopis. It's a different Krishna. And when he revealed himself.
Now let's take up from where you finished the construction and your further progress in the ashram, in the society.
In the society, I continued to work, and then Navjot had passed away much earlier. Just 6 months after I had come, he left.
Oh.
So there was Vijay and there was I, and there was Kishoralaji. So one didn't realize which way one would go. I mean, because there was physically no guide as such. But it carried on. Before he left his body, I said he wanted to give me a designation. So I said, "Why are you giving me a designation? I'm not ready for all this." But he said, "No, you have to have this." So he made me the additional General Secretary. Additional General Secretary. General Secretary was Guru Prasad. That was the time when there was a trouble going on between the society and I was never directly involved, but I was watching what's going on and listening to both sides. There is my side, that side. In a fight, both are wrong. So, but the relationship with Auroville is good. I mean, with the residents of Auroville, I'm not much involved with the administration. I don't do much there because I find the administration a bit dodgy. So I keep away from that. But Matri Mandir and doing other work with Unity, Aurovillians, we work together.
Do you go sometimes to Matrimandir chamber? You do. What do you feel there?
Beautiful. It's ethereal. Ethereal. Of course, the peace, you feel the peace, we have read what she has said about Matri Mandir, and some beautiful stories about Matri Mandir, about that white carpet. There's a beautiful story, and I heard that. And then I realized that, everybody is going through this miracle. No, it was not just me, it was everybody was going through that miracle. This story about the carpet was absolutely fascinating, about that white. If you notice, there are no breaks in the carpet.
No seam, no
monolithic.
seam, no seams.
No seams. It's monolithic.
Yes.
And where do you get that one thing monolithic? It was impossible to get. So I understand some 2-3 people from Borrowville went around trying to find out who could do this job. They landed up in Agra. In Agra, they talked to a few people. He said there is one Muslim person who makes these carpets and all. Why don't you go and see him? So I don't know who they were, 2-3 people from Borrowville. So they went in and they started telling them we are from here and we need this carpet, and started talking about the mother to him. She looked at them and said, "You come inside." He took him in his inside chamber and all photographs of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Muslim.
Muslim fellow.
Muslim fellow. So he said, "Now tell me what you want." So they said, "This is it," and the huge size. He said, "This cannot be done here. I'll send my team there. They will sit there and knit it." So he sent his people. He said, "You paid this for their stay only. I don't want any money. And they will sit there and knit it." So they knitted the entire thing inside the chamber. Otherwise, it was not possible. So it's an amazing history, the way it has happened in Madhya. And then, despite all these frictions and disputes, and it kept going, kept growing. In sheer beauty, it has come up. And everything seems to be, apparently if you see, beauty is growing. But there is friction behind the scene, or even sometimes apparent to us also. But it's very amazing, and the acoustics, the whole, and the light coming down, and the petals, and the walks, it's amazing.
How long did it take to finish the carpet?
I don't know. I didn't check up, but it must have been a year or two, I don't know. Because many of them sat there. And this is a story I've heard.
And they were all men who worked for this Muslim.
Yes. His worker.
His team.
His team was all Muslim. And he was a complete bhakta. Sitting there in Agra somewhere, a Muslim does this.
And I have known Vijay very, very well for many, many years. Can you tell me a little about the work of the society now?
Vijay, as you know, is not well.
Yes, I know.
With his stroke, now almost 2 years, he is physically hampered. Mind is okay. He does give instructions, etc., but he finds himself handicapped. He can't move around. So obviously, it is for me to do the things that he could not do, which I took on very happily. My work increased in the sense that I could not travel that much as I would like to, because I was rooted here. So this Mathur Niketan, this building, I wonder if you've seen it, with the old academy house. When you go beyond the distillery, where the distillery was, beyond that there was this, we bought that building. It was a, Padmini was the lady who was the owner. She gave it to us on lease for 50 years.
I know that building.
that building.
It's very beautiful.
So that now you must, have you seen it now?
No.
No. You see it now. It is really, really super.
I think I saw it recently with Anayata from Mumbai.
Yeah.
She brings her children.
Yes.
Yes, I've been there.
Oh, you've been there.
Very beautiful.
Yes. So again, it is her expressing herself, in this building. And this building again is another miracle. This Bajaj, he flew in. He had given some donation for our village work. And so his man said, why don't we go ahead and have a look how this investment has worked over there. And he flew in from Bombay on his own plane and landed, and he went and saw the villages, and I went with him all over the place. Vijay went along. He was a class friend of my cousin brother. They studied together in St. Stephen's in Delhi. So I chatted with him a lot. And suddenly in the evening, he says, his CSR head, charity funds who handled it, Tripatiji, I want to give 5 crores. Will you make a scheme? I want to give 5 crores. So Vijay and Tripathi sat down, and we knew what the scheme was. We wanted to buy this building. And we were the lessees. We were there in the building. So 5 crores were sanctioned, and we bought the building.
Oh, so Padmini sold it to you?
Yeah, then we bought it.
Yeah, you bought it for 5 crores.
For 4 crores something.
Yeah,
And it was a disputed building. A lot of relatives of Padmini were claiming it. So the matter went through the court. And you'll be amazed with all the disputes. This was an advertisement for 15 days that this is being bought by so and so, this is the thing, etc., etc. Any discord on this? Or not a word.
From any of them?
Nobody. And it just went through. And money was deposited in the court. So it was finished. Then he sends another 5 crores to renovate the building. So this entire thing is from one group, but the Bajaj group, of 10 crores rupees. Nobody made any effort. One cannot say that, yes, I did it, or my contact, or...
Did you oversee some of it?
Yes.
Much of it?
Yeah, much of it. Right. So the finishing, the residential side of it, and the work that is going on there, I'm especially involved in it.
Pradeep, what do you feel about Pondicherry now? It's changed so much.
But Pondicherry is beautiful. I still feel peace here. People say that the peace is disturbed. Yeah, apparently it is disturbed. The traffic's too much. Weekends are horrific, And you don't take your car out. There's no point. So you walk everywhere. But I don't know what they are planning on the surface, what the plan is really, because this town must grow beyond the airport. So the airport is broadened and made purely a national airport, which it is not today. And then we'll have planes coming straight from Bombay, Calcutta, all over Germany, from everywhere. When that happens, more hotels will come. And it will spread that side. Once that begins to happen, pressure will ease here. Now what's happening in this, everyone lands up in White Town. Practically every second home has turned into a mini guest house. So it has to spread out, otherwise it's not going to work. And our politicians, I tried to talk to them. I said, why can't you expand the airport? So I said, how much will it cost? I talked to the minister concerned. He said, 300 crores. I said, all your money comes from Delhi. You're a union territory. So why don't they give it? So you see, we have priorities. The priorities are, first priority is to build the new assembly hall for the MLAs. And that is 1200 crores. So I said, but this is only 300. Why don't you finish this first? And this has huge consequential changes that you will have. Very good for the... No, but that is very important. So that's how it is. So I thought we were going to talk to the people in Delhi that, you are the people who dictate from here. So why don't you say, come start from the bottom, finish this, finish the... If that happens, you can't imagine the kind of traffic we will have. And the super speed, these hoteliers and all these people, they have an amazing knack of putting up things at the right time.
Can you tell me a little bit about the society's work throughout India?
Yeah, we have 300 centers, different parts. Some small, some big. Each one reflects the personality of the people who run it, with what devotion they run it. It's manifest, really. So some are doing very good. If we say good, I mean not necessarily good or bad, but some flourish a little more than the others. Some close down, new ones crop up. But Mother gave us very specific instructions that never plant a center. It has to come up and you support it. It must plant, it comes from like that, and then you support it. The society supports it. And that's what we do. Sometimes we goes to 325, came down to 300, now down to 310. Some people go away, it stops. And she had given instructions that we start with a minimum of 12 members. Less than that. And some very good people who are pass on, then they say that there's nobody else who can run it. For a while it just closes. Somebody else will come and try and revive it. Or somewhere else it opens. And it goes on. Of course, we do give certain guidances, certain activities that they can take. Now, during the Mother's 150th anniversary will be there in 2028. So we're already planning.
Now I have a big question. What do you feel about India and its progress?
Nothing can stop India's progress. Nothing can stop it. We ourselves cannot stop it. This government or that government or whatever may happen. But India's future is very, very clear. It is going to be what Sri Aurobindo wants. The Guru of the world, as the Mother said, I think it's inevitable. It all depends on us, how much we absorb and how much we manifest.
Beautiful answer. Thank you. Do you have any children?
Yes, I have a daughter.
A daughter.
A daughter who studied here.
She studied here?
Yeah. She was 2.5 when we came.
Oh.
So she joined KG at 3 and passed out then from knowledge. And she says very proudly that whatever she is today, whatever she knows, is only because what she learnt, and specifically from David.
From David.
David. And he said, my love for reading, my love for the English language and writing, etc., it all came from him. I mean, she pays him super compliments. So she's a writer herself. She was an editor for some time. She worked in Delhi with HarperCollins. And she's also now an author coach. If somebody wants to write a book, she guides that person. From A to Z you can. If you have an imagination, if you have a story, she can mold it for you and convert it into a book. And she makes you write. You write it. And she helps here and there. So she has these clients of hers calling her from the US. They're writing, especially during the COVID period, when most women were sitting at home, they didn't know what to do, they started writing. And then they wanted people to help. So she put her own thing on LinkedIn and all these things. So she lives here with us, but it's on a computer, so you can do anything from anywhere.
Could you share a little bit about some of the older ashramites that you have known?
Oh yes.
It's a big question, and we have time if you have.
No, I'm absolutely. MP Pandit was one who I respected him for his knowledge and his bhakti, and he did answer some of my questions when I came after Navjot left. Then Dyuman Bhai was another one, a remarkable human being. And of course Manojda. Manojda has been a good friend and a colleague. Despite the tension that developed at some time between the ashram and us, we are fine.
Pranab?
Pranab, no. I met him just once. He saw me and his friend mentioned who I was, so he called me. I said, I know about you. So Pranab Da's reputation was, so I said I would keep away from him. I would not like to be a friend or a foe. And if I don't, unless Mother guides me to go and work with him or meet him, I'm not going. So that never came. Until he summoned me just to say hello to me. After Auroville came in, he was very unhappy. I mean, he was very unhappy with Auroville. He was very unhappy with the society because it came through the society. So that there was a rift.
What about Champakla?
Yes, I met him. Of course, I talked and he would listen with those beautiful eyes that he could see through you, and always gave something.
And
Bansidharji, of course, I used to meet for a while for going to the Death Darshan parties. At that time, the system was different.
Ved Prakash?
Yes. I knew him, yes. I knew him quite well.
Oh.
Yes.
He was very close to me.
Wonderful fellow. He said, he wrote me, he sent me a letter. He wrote in Hindi. I replied to him in English. I don't know how to do Hindi. he sent me another letter back to me. I had written to you in Hindi. So I went to see him. And I said, I can speak Hindi very well. It's my mother tongue. But I find it difficult to explain and to type it out. I can't do that. But then the relationship with him grew. It was very nice. And during that period of the rift, Navjot was still alive then, and he told me this incident that he says, I knew Navjot very well, and I was hearing all kinds of things against him and the society. So then I heard that so much money was missing. So he said, I couldn't believe it. So I called Navjot. And in Hindi, he asked him, what's all this going on? So he explained whatever he told him. He stood by him right through. And he said, I cannot believe that he would do anything which would tarnish mother's image. I don't believe it. It's not possible. And I had worked very closely with Navjot. And I also could see, I knew accounts. I knew when I first came, my mother knew Himmat Singh ji's wife very well.
Oh, Himmat Singh?
Yes. His wife very well. So she said that you must go and meet him. By then she had passed away. So you must go and meet Madan Lal. So I came to see Navjot, and Madan Lal was upstairs. So I went up to see him. The first thing that he tells me, he says, this Navjot is creating such a mess over here. He said, Navjot is creating such a mess over here. And all this money which comes from Matri Mandir, he uses it elsewhere, etc., etc. Madan Lalji was raising funds for Matri Mandir. And he is diverting those funds. I was new, instead of asking me how my mother was and all that. So he went on with this. I went down and I talked to Bhaiji. I said, Bhaiji, this is what this fellow is saying. All this going on, money. So he said, you know money very well, you know accounts, you know finances. Why don't you have a look? You go through the finance. It was crystal clear. Last bit of money which had come from Matri Mandir was just 10 days ago. And it was in the process of being remitted from one account to another, whatever it. So I found it utter nonsense. Of this kind, these allegations were totally wrong. Of the CBI raids and the CBI, and then finally CBI raided us based on a report, which was, so they took everything away, all the books, everything, packed up in about 10 trucks. It was all gone. And about bad publicity and what society had done, etc. And I just couldn't understand what is going on because I'm in it. I know there was nothing there. So I told Bhaiji, I said, Bhaiji, it's the first place I've seen where there's smoke without fire. I couldn't understand. And I'd seen enough corruption in business and how money is handled by industries. I'd seen it. I said, I frankly just don't understand what's going on. Finally, after 12 years of this battle with government, 3 years before that, Kirit Joshi was very against us for some reason, I don't know. I don't know, never met him really. He requested the West Bengal government to make an inquiry into our affairs because we were registered in Calcutta. so in Bengal. So they could not, they wanted us to be dissolved. Kirit.
He wanted the society
to dissolve the society.
Oh.
This is what he wanted. It could be done only by the Bengal government because it was registered in Bengal. And he made a big case that this is a CBI. So the Bengal government appointed a special committee headed by a retired chief secretary. So I went to Calcutta to this person. I rang him up and I said, I have come, I'm so and so, I'm from society. It is regarding the inquiry. Will you see me? He said, yes, of course, come. I don't have an office. Come to my home. So very sweet, very warm, I went to see him. And he had this book, the inquiry, which after making, and they had this big thing of exactly what had gone wrong, the big thing report, investigation report of the accounts. He says, you know, I have just finished, as I was entering in, he said, I have just finished this CBI based on this book of accounts which has come out, investigation. He said, but there is no allegation. I said, sir, this is what we have been saying. We don't want any favors. Just do it on merit. Merit for once, not this kind of whiplashing going on all the time. He said, but I don't see any allegation. So he came, held an inquiry, talked to any senior Ashramites and all that. Then he called Kirit Joshi he wanted to investigate him, talk to him. He didn't come. He refused to come. And you'd be amazed that Government of India went to court and got the inquiry stayed, which they started themselves. In the annals of legal history, you won't find such a situation. Only the person who's being inquired must defend himself and tries to, goes to court. They themselves went to court and got the whole inquiry stayed. And finally, the Bengal government inquired and gave a clearance. There's nothing, we don't find anything. Then after Mr. Gandhi left and the changes took place, and Chandrasekhar's government came for 6 months or 8 months. So there I talked to people whom I didn't know at all. Narad. I had no friends, no contact, just plunged into it, went to see them. And they just inquired into it. After the inquiry, they said, can you, what is your final stand on this? So I gave a 2-3 page note. And the Home Minister wrote that I don't see anything here, this should be withdrawn. The Law Minister. So from there it started and went right up, and it cleared, it was cleared, withdrawn unconditionally. So I got a letter, when I asked for a letter from the government. He said, but we don't give letters. I said, well, we were shouting from rooftop that we had done this and we had done that. Now you find that there is nothing. So I want a letter. So they gave a letter that the following 3 cases have been withdrawn. I went back to him. I said, sir, this will not do. You have to also write that nothing is pending. You said 3 cases. How do people know? You shouted so much about us. How do people know? If people say that, maybe there's 3 or 4 more. So you say nothing is pending. He says, you are a very difficult man. He gave another letter that nothing else is pending. We got both the letters in our cold room. So, 12 years of battle. Unnecessary battle.
I'm happy to hear you say these things, speak so honestly and coherently. And it has truly been a wonderful meeting with you.
I am so happy to meet you, and I recall my meeting with you 38 years ago in a small, single, non-air conditioned room of an international guest house. Very hot it was, and you had 2-3 other people sitting with you. And I had gone to meet you only because of Orwell, really. So I thought I could get a chance to give you my views, but
We meet as children of the mother.
yes, but we couldn't talk then,
No.
but we're talking today. So thank you so much for really you
Thank
coming
you.
to me is really Mother's grace. You came to my office. I'm very touched. Narad, really, really very touched.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.